Okay, all right guys, we're going to get started here. For those of you that are not familiar with me, my name is Josh Wise. My role here at RezStream is the VP of Customer Success. So my responsibilities here are to make sure that our clients, you all, are adopting our products, are using them to their fullest functionality, making sure that you guys understand how they work, share experiences of other users and how they use things or do things or operate their business. That's kind of my role here at RezStream. So think of me as a middleman between you, the client who's using the product every day, and our development team, so that way we can make sure that we're enhancing the usability and or building out features that are imperative to your business. So I'm a good resource for anything related to the software or any of the products for that matter. So that's a little bit about me. Now, as far as what we're doing here, this webinar is for existing customers only. So the idea behind this is to help share with you guys some of the features that you may not be utilizing in the product or how to use them better. You know, we have a couple hundred people using the cloud reservation software, and I'm talking to clients every day throughout the weeks, the months, and I'm constantly educating them on things that they didn't know. So I want to share those experiences with everyone because I find that there are sometimes, you know, you guys aren't aware of certain things that are in the program that are causing you pains because you think they don't exist. The idea behind this is non-salesy whatsoever. It's all about the usability and the product itself. So I think that's a positive thing for everyone. We're planning on doing this once a month. So the next one will be April 4th. So I think once a month minimum to start, and then if need be, you know, we'll do more than once a month as people's schedules allow for it. I want to show you something here as I'm sharing my screen. So there's a little widget, guys, that comes with the GoToWebinar. I don't think you can see it on my screen, but basically you have the ability to chat and you have the ability to answer questions. The way this GoToWebinar thing kind of works is not necessarily for an open dialogue feedback. I think that gets a little complicated when you have multiple people, background noises and things like that, but feel free to use the questions box and I will do my best to try and answer questions as I go along, and at a minimum I will make sure that I at least get those questions answered at some point for you. Okay, so what you're looking at here, guys, is the dashboard, which you all should be familiar with at this point. So I want to cover a couple things on this dashboard that keep coming up when I'm engaging with users that they weren't too familiar with it. So if you are familiar, my apologies in advance, but the majority of people I've experienced are not yet familiar with these things. The first thing over here on the left, guys, on the dashboard is you're seeing your arrivals, your stayovers, your departures, your no-shows, etc. And this is date specific, so when you log in, it's always going to show the current day. But if you'll notice here, I can hover over this thing and I can change this date. So the purpose for this, guys, is you can go out into the future and you can see who's coming, okay, for a specific date in the future. So where this comes in handy is you can go in and you can reference, okay, I haven't taken deposit payments for any of these reservations that are coming in on the 9th. So if my traditional procedure is when a reservation comes in, I'm supposed to take a deposit payment, this is a good way to check for the next day or the day after or into the future, whatever date it is that you're looking for. So I know that's handy for a lot of people. The other thing that you can also do here, guys, is you can print out letters for a date in the future. So for example, on the 9th here in a couple of days, if I wanted to, I can jump in here and I could print out letters for all my arrivals. So if I'm someone that does registration cards, I can do that in advance, so that way I'm prepared for that day and I'm not going through those motions on the day in which people are actually arriving when I need to get everything prepped for them. And you'll notice here, when you select that specific date, it's going to show you all those arrivals, and it's going to give you the option to basically uncheck them if you do not want to print a specific letter for that person for whatever reason is. Let's say you're a property management company and it's an owner coming to stay, you don't need a registration card. Let's say it's a family member or someone that's indicated in the past they're not signing your registration card, whatever the example might be. So by adjusting this date here, it allows us to quickly and efficiently be able to, for not only today, but any day in the future, see who's coming, make sure that we've got everything taken care of as it relates to their reservation, whether it's the payment status, whether it's printing out registration cards. Okay? Now, the next thing that I want to show you is the check-in wizard. So hopefully you guys are using this thing, but what I've come to find out with this check-in wizard that we've built is people aren't necessarily sure how to get it set up. So if I click on a specific arrival and I click this check-in button here, it's going to take me to this next screen. Now, on this next screen, we asked people and we said, hey, what is it that you typically need to do when people are checking in? And the feedback that we got is I need to potentially edit an invoice, I need to add items or an item or items, I need to take some type of payment, whether it's a deposit payment or final payment, and then I need to generate some type of letter for them. Now, I want you to notice here that whatever you select here, and you click this button down here to say always use these check-in options, that's what's going to be defaulted. So you'll notice when I came into this screen, prior to today, I have set up that for my fake property, I want to always add a payment and I want to always generate a letter, and the letter that I always generate at check-in is my registration card, okay? So you notice these things are toggled on. My registration card is here by default, but edit invoice is off because I don't need to edit invoice typically during my check-in process. And when I click this button, it saves those default options, okay? So what you're allowed to do here is you're allowed to customize what you want to happen as it's unique to your specific property every single time at check-in, okay? So that's amazing because you're not having to click extra buttons. It's already going to walk you through this entire process. So if I continue on here with this check-in, it's now going to go through this process and it's going to ask me if it's taking me to the payment screen, right? And so I can then process that payment for that reservation. Now, you'll notice here that I have the ability to skip this step. So even though I've set it as my default, if something changes on that particular reservation, I can skip any of these steps or toggle things on and off on the fly. So the beauty here is not only are we giving you it by default based on what your property needs, but we're allowing you to skip any and all steps of this process just in case something is unique or changes, okay? And then the next step that it's taking me to is to generate the letter. So if you recall, on that very first screen, I said I wanted to take a payment and I wanted to generate a letter, and it's automatically pulling up my registration letter because that is what I do at check-in, okay? So for those of you that aren't necessarily using this feature or aren't sure how to utilize this feature, by simply coming in and doing it the first time, selecting which options it is that you want to have here, and clicking this button down here, it will automatically remember your defaults, okay? If you need to change this letter at any time, whether you want to change it as a default and save it, or whether you just want to change it that one particular time for those rare one-off scenarios, you can absolutely do so. So the idea here is to streamline the check-in process by remembering your defaults as well as allowing you to customize those defaults or remove or add any of those options on the fly for those unique one-off scenarios. Let me just check the questions here. Okay, no questions so far. So hopefully you guys are taking advantage of this. The same thing applies on checkout, guys. So as you're going through and checking in and checking people out, you should play around with that feature and make sure that you're utilizing it to its full functionality. If you guys need any help with that, you can check the knowledge base articles by coming up here. Oops, excuse me, wrong one. By coming up to the question mark and jumping into the knowledge base, or obviously you can reach out to the support team and they'll walk you through it, getting that all set up. Okay, next thing I want to show you here is the recent reservation activity, okay? And this is more so, I'm looking for feedback here, so I'm going to give you guys a poll question. So basically, this recent reservation activity is specific to online booking engine reservations as well as online gift certificates, okay? And these reservations automatically download into the software when someone makes an online booking, and you see specifically when it is they made the booking. You see the guest and the specific number. You see the unit that they're in and the number of nights that they're staying. And you see the charges, both the total, what it is that they've actually paid, and the remaining balance, okay? So these guys are staying here until that reservation actually comes and stays, and then it'll disappear off this list. So for some of you that get a lot of online reservations, you'll see about 5 per page, and then it'll start the, I believe it's called the pagination, where it shows you the different pages that you can scroll through. Well, some feedback that I've received recently, and I'm interested in your specific opinions for those of you that are on the webinar today. People have been telling me that, excuse me, that they want to see all reservations here. So not just the reservations that came from the booking engine, but they want to see all recent reservations, whether it was a phone call reservation or a walk-in reservation, and they want to utilize this very quickly from their dashboard to be able to see if payments have been taken, deposit payments, for those of you that take deposit payments at the time of the reservations, or they want to jump into this reservation within one click and see if the appropriate notes and the information that your property is looking for, additional guest name, dietary restrictions, etc., have all been taken. So the first poll question that I'm going to throw out to you guys here is, would you like to see all reservations here on the dashboard within this recent reservation activity? Do you want to see all the reservations? Yes, you do. I want to see all, both the booking engine as well as phone call and walk-ins, or no, I don't need to see all reservations here. I've got that process down. I'm good with booking engine only, or you're not really sure because either A, you don't understand it, or B, it doesn't really apply to your business. So I'll give you guys about 10 more seconds here if you would kindly give me some feedback, and if you don't have a strong opinion one way or another, go ahead and hit that third option, you're not sure. Okay, so let me share some results with you. So 45% of you said yes. It would surely be helpful if I saw all of those reservations there. I'm assuming in the example I gave, you want to see everything that's happening. You want to see if the deposits are taking place, not only to remind yourself, but to double check your staff members, as well as the ability to jump into the reservation and gather the information that you're looking for. And 27% equally said no, I do not need that information, or I'm not sure. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Okay. Next thing I want to show is I want to jump over here to the occupancy map, and feedback that has been coming in early on that we recently released is, for those of you that came over for RezStream Professional, or those of you that take notes or specific details about a reservation, the feedback is you wanted an easy and quick method to be able to see those details on a reservation, specifically from the occupancy map, because a lot of you are working off this occupancy map, maybe utilizing it as your home screen, if you will, for a lack of a better term. So what we've done here, guys, if you click on a reservation and you get this dialog box on the right-hand side, you'll now have this notes and details drop down. And by clicking on this notes and details drop down, it's going to show you all of the fields that are associated with that specific reservation, okay? Not necessarily the guest, right? Because we're looking at the reservation itself, not the actual guest. If I need to go look at the guest specific information, I come down here. But by clicking on notes and details, I'm getting information from the reservation. Now, this is going to look different on my screen than it does on your screen, and I'm going to show you why. So you'll see here I have source of contact, reason for stay, I've got some special needs, arrival time, pets, dietary restrictions, additional guest names, etc. Okay. Now, the way that this comes up here, if I actually come over here to a reservation, and I'm going to come in this way, you'll see this is where all this data is getting pulled from, right? Well, Josh, that's nice, but how do I control that data, right? So let me show you exactly how we're going to control this data here. If I come back into the configuration section and I scroll down to custom fields and dates, this is where I'm going to be able to control that information. Okay, so let's do one together. So I'm going to add a new custom field, and let's say something that I need to track is a vehicle. I need to track the vehicle. Actually, so I want to track the car. Now, the next option that I have here is, what does this field apply to? Does it apply to a person record or a contact record? So think of it as me, Josh Wise. Does this field need to belong to Josh Wise, or does this field need to be specific to the reservation? Okay, maybe it's both. But for my specific example here today, I want this to apply to the reservation because I want that data to show up on that occupancy map notes field as well as on that reservation page itself. Okay, so I'm going to select reservation. But for those of you that are looking to create custom fields on the guests, you would select the person radial button, right? Okay, now the second thing that you guys need to pay attention to are these options down here. So if I flag this as important, then this field is going to show up not only on the reservations as a key field, but it's also going to show up on various different reports. So I'm going to show that to you guys a little bit later. But by flagging this as important, this data is going to follow this reservation throughout the system itself. Okay. Now, these other two these other two options here, as you can see by reading it, is basically saying, do I want this field to be required, as well as do I want this field to show on the booking engine, right? So I'm gonna create this car field, and I'm gonna go ahead and save this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back into a reservation. Actually, maybe I'll do it here. I'm going to jump back into this Josh reservation, and here's that car field. And I'm going to put a Chrysler 300. That's the car I have. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in there. But guys, this is how you are getting these fields to show up on the occupancy map. So within a click of that reservation and dropping down the notes and details field, now I'm getting quick access into everything that I need to see related to that reservation. So what are some practical examples? Maybe I need to know if they have pets in there because I deliver a little pet box, a bark box, or something along those lines. Maybe I need to know for dietary restrictions so I can share that with the chef because I've got peanut allergies or egg allergies. Maybe I need to know that I need to deliver a pack and play or some additional pillows and blankets or a rollaway bed or whatever it is that you guys need to track specific to that reservation that one time. This is how you display that information, and that is how you add those custom fields. Okay. Okay, let me see. Moving on here. Now I'm going to show you guys how to add custom fields for your online booking engine. Okay. So if I come into my booking engine settings over here within my main navigation, and then I scroll down to my custom fields, this is where I'm going to get the option to determine if the fields in which I have created are going to be displayed on the booking engine. So you'll notice here, I've got my source of contact and my reason for stay. So I have the ability to show it, I have the ability not to show it, or I have the ability to show it but allow the guest to skip it, so it's not a mandatory field on the booking engine. Or the final option is I have the ability to show it and require the guest to select something here, making it a mandatory field. Now, let me give you some words of caution. The online booking engine, the purpose of that tool is to allow someone to quickly and conveniently make a purchase decision with you without having to pick up the phone and contact you, right? We're displaying our availability, we're showing our pictures and our unit descriptions, maybe we're offering some additional add-ons, and then they're giving us their contact and billing information. I've seen people go absolutely crazy with mandatory required fields, and that's a big no-no. Anything that is imperative for you to gather, make it mandatory, like your name, an address, an email, a way of contacting you, your billing information, credit card information. Those things are mandatory, right? If you'd like to know what time they arrive for your own personal benefit, you need to determine for your business, is that mandatory or not? And the more mandatory fields you have, the longer that online booking is going to take, the more that that person is going to get frustrated with that seamless, quick, and easy process, and the more likely they may abort making that online booking decision. So just remember that as you're going through these things, okay? Now, something else that you can do here as it relates to your source of contact, based on the items that you've already created in your reservation software, you can determine what you want the default to be. So do you want it to show as none and then they have to pick from the list, or maybe you want it to show as a default of it's an online booking engine, that's how they came to you, and that's what's automatically going to display, and if they want to change it, they can. So that's really up to you guys. Now, you'll see all the custom fields that I've created before that I just showed you on the previous screen. All those options are showing up here, and I've got a couple different options, okay? I can come in here and I can say, don't show, yes show, but allow them to skip, or show and make it mandatory, just like you saw up above. The other thing that I can do here, guys, is I can control the sort order of those fields, right? So if I want to find out their car, then I want that to be the very first thing on the list because it's most important, then I can just click and drag that up to the top of the list. Or if I don't think that's very important, I can move it to the bottom of the list, et cetera, okay? So let me just jump out here to my online booking engine, and I want you to see this. So I've got additional guest name, I've got dietary restriction, I've got arrival time, and the additional guest name is something that is required. So if I jump out to my specific booking engine, notice I'm on the final step here where they give the contact and billing information. Now, anything that you see bolded as far as the title of a field, that is mandatory, that is required. So the names, the address, all these things up here, those are mandatory by default. You'll notice address to is optional. You'll notice alternate phone number is optional. That's all by default. That's what we have set up for you originally. Now, here's where all those custom fields come into play. It comes in the additional information section. The special request is in here by default. But here are the three fields that I just showed you in the configuration section that I controlled to display on this booking engine, and you'll notice the one that's mandatory is my additional guest name. So if I decide that I no longer want that additional guest name to show, I don't want it to show, so I'm going to say do not show, I'm going to save it. I'm going to come back in here to my online booking engine and refresh it. Now that field has gone away, okay? And if I decide that I need my arrival time to be mandatory, excuse me, I'm going to come back into my configuration section on the booking engine, custom fields, and I want my arrival time to be mandatory. I'm going to save that, come back into my booking engine and refresh it. So you guys see how easy it is to not only add the custom fields that you can see on your occupancy map for every reservation, but how easy it is to add the custom fields and make them either show up, not show up, or be mandatory for your online booking engine. So hopefully you guys are going to start utilizing these features. I know a lot of you like to track specific information, whether it's license plates number, do you need parking spots, what time are you going to be here, dietary needs, additional guest name because you want to add that personal touch that the large chain hotels don't have, and you want to address both me and my wife by our first names upon arrival and throughout our stay. Those are the type of things that people are using these fields for. So hopefully you guys find that to be pretty beneficial. Ignore this part here. Now, something else I want to show you is within each of these custom fields, you now have the ability to delete. So up until several weeks ago, those fields were just there and you couldn't do anything with them, and they kind of bogged down the system, or not necessarily bogged down the system, but mentally they were annoying because they were there and you were no longer using them. Well, now you have the ability to delete these fields. So if you go in and create one and you make a mistake and or you decide you no longer want to use it, feel free to go in and delete those things. Okay, next thing that I want to move on to, and we're about 27 minutes in, so I want to do my best to keep this under an hour because I can be long-winded, is I want to show you guys some reports. Now, there are, call it 20+ reports in here that we have built out based on feedback from user groups and clients. So if there are reports that are missing here or data points, please feel free to reach out to us, to me specifically, or whomever it is, so that we can get some reports built for you guys. Or what I find a lot of times is show you where the data is on the reports that you may be used to. So first report here that I'm going to show you is a reservations arrivals report. And I want to show you this because I've kind of got a question for you here. Now, on this arrivals report, we've got the column headers, right? We've got units, arrival, departure, the guest name, status, charges, payments, balances, and notes. Now, you'll notice here, I've got some notes, or I've got some custom fields that are showing up under this notes section, and the reason why they're showing up is because I flagged those as important. So I said I was going to show you this a little bit earlier, but when you flag something as important, it's going to follow that reservation throughout the system, and within the reports is an example of where that's going to show. So I've indicated that I want to know what packages that these people are getting and what pets they're bringing and what special needs they have, right? I want that data to be transparent throughout multiple different sections of the program. But I've got a question for you here because I've heard this feedback and I need to get a little bit more feedback before I can make it a reality. Basically, people have said to me is, I want to be able to sort the reports by the columns. So as an example, if I was running an arrivals report for multiple days here, let me just go back a little bit. If I was running an arrivals report for multiple days, you'll notice that the arrival dates are a little out of order here. So I've got some Februaries, and then I've got some Marches, and I've got some Februaries, and basically what's happening is it's displaying based on the order of your rooms on the occupancy map. So here's all my Suite of Dreams arrivals from this date to this date. Here's all my Vineyard arrivals from this date to this date. So my question to you in my next poll is, do you guys want to be able to filter the reports based on the columns? You want to be able to click on the arrival column as an example, and it orders those things from the earliest to the latest date? Or do you want to be able to click on the guest column and it's going to list those things alphabetically? So is that important to you? I've heard it from enough folks that I wanted to start asking that question to the masses, and if that's something that you guys need, then obviously we want to take it back to the programmers, the development team, and see if that's something that we can't get built for you. So about 10 more seconds, and then I'm going to share the results with you. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So 83% of you said, yes, Josh, please, for the love of God, let us be able to sort these column headers by whatever it is that we want to sort by, whether it's the units, the arrivals, the guests, yada, yada, regardless of the report. Nobody said no, and then 17% of you said you don't really care, which to me sounds like 100% of you said that's something that you could benefit from. Okay, moving on here, next thing I want to show you, because we've made some recent adjustments, is I want to show you the housekeeping report. I don't want to assume that everyone uses this report, nor do I want to make the assumption that everyone reads the release notes that we put within the program. So let's talk about this housekeeping report. So the housekeeping report is a single-day report, and you can change the date by coming up here and clicking on this box and clicking on the calendar or typing it in, so that you can jump out into the future and you can basically start planning staffing needs, housekeepers, etc. Some of you don't have full-time housekeepers. So that's the first thing. Then obviously you're seeing all of your units, and you're seeing it broken up by your arrivals, your departures, stayovers, out of service. You're seeing clean, dirty, if linens need to be changed, guest name, length of stay, current status, count, and notes. And again, these notes fields that are displaying are the ones that I marked or flagged as important when I created those custom fields. So just remember, that's how you get them to show up. So whatever you want to show up on these reports, just make sure you mark those fields, flag them as important, okay? Now, the other things that we do for you guys based on feedback is we're counting up the guests. So on these reservations, when I took these reservations, the guests indicated how many people were in the party and what type of guests they were. For my specific property, I have adults, I have children, etc. So what we're doing is we're counting all these up. So here's my total arrivals for today. Here's my total departures for today, my stayovers. Here's how many people are going to be there in the morning and the evening. And the reason why we added these fields is for those of you that serve breakfast, for those of you that serve dinner, for those of you that do some type of social gathering, a wine in the evening, a cookie thing, or whatever, you know how many heads there are, mouths to feed, or drinks that you need to supply for. So that's the idea there. Now, what I want you guys to pay attention to is this settings tab. So in the upper right-hand corner of various different reports, those that are a little bit more customizable, you'll see this settings button, and it's specific to that particular report, okay? So if I click on this settings tab, I can customize some things here, and I can say, these are all the things that I want to see on my housekeeping report, or the feedback that we've gotten recently, and the reason why that we made these adjustments is that people don't need all that crap, I'll call it, okay? Excuse my language, but people don't need all that crap. They want to print it out, and instead of it printing out too wide or on too many dang pages, I want to remove a bunch of crap on there that isn't imperative to my business, right? So as an example, do I really need to see the reservation date and length? If not, I toggle it off, I save it, and then it disappears. So I no longer have that data. Let's say I don't need to see any of the notes and I don't need to see the guest count. All I want is this information. So as I save it, this report starts removing the columns off of it. And so in essence, you can customize this report specific to your property and the data that you want to see or do not want to see, okay? So all that's done here within the settings tab. So I'm just going to turn it all back on because I like to display it that way. But nonetheless, guys, within this housekeeping report, here's all of your information. And if you migrate up to this upper right-hand corner in the settings, you're now going to be able to see those specific things that are specific to your business or not specific to your business. Okay, moving on here, let me show you another report here, and I think this gets a little bit confusion. There's some confusion around these two reports. I want to make sure that I explain it. So, sales report. So in general, what's a sales report, guys? Sales reports are things that we've sold that people said were going to happen. Example, a reservation 2 months from now, and it'll show up on the sales report because I've sold it. However, it could change, right? They could change their mind. They could extend their reservation. They could shorten their reservation. They could cancel their reservation. So sales is something that you've sold, but not yet something that you've earned, right? So in reservation softwares, the majority of them work off an accrual accounting basis, which is you recognize the revenue when it's earned. So as an example, today, if I make a 3-night reservation and I take a 50% deposit on that reservation for 2 months from now,
that money is now a liability, and it's not something that I've actually earned because someone can change their mind or cancel, lengthen, shorten that reservation. So once the first night actually stays and takes place, then I've earned the revenue from the first night, and then the second night, and then I've earned it, and so on and so forth. So think of sales as what it is that you've sold. Now, the two specific reports that I want to talk about are the by channel report, okay? So my sales by my channel. So I'm going to jump into this first one here. Now, I'm going to pick my date range, whatever my date range is that you guys normally go in and look at, and then it's going to show me by my various different channels, okay? It's going to show me my booking engine sales. It's going to show me, so think of this as online, right, booking engine, and PMS, think of this as offline. This is phone calls and walk-ins. And if I want to see the specific details, I click on this plus button, and then I can jump into any of these, okay? Now, what's unique about this specific report is, notice that there are, for my booking engine during this time frame, there's $4,010.50 worth of sales, okay? This includes any changes made to those reservations, okay? So let me give you an example. Someone went online and they booked a Denver Bronco room for a one-night stay, okay? And they made that booking on February 8th. They also added a bottle of water. I don't offer bottled water on my booking engine, so that was a same-day reservation, and they came in and they bought a bottle of water from me at, say, my gift shop, and I added it to their invoice, and that bottle of water is now counting towards the total revenue that has been sold for that reservation. So the sales by channel report is showing any changes, additions, or what have you to that reservation. So if they book online, then they come and show up and they buy a package, a point of sale item, a robe, a mug, or anything like that, it's going to show on that report. So the sales by channel shows the reservation itself and any edits made to that reservation, okay? So if you guys are using this report in whatever you're accounting or at the end of the month or periodically, just know that that report includes not only what you've sold for the reservation, but any changes after that point to that reservation. That's important. People get stumbled up on that one. Now, let me talk to you about the sales by channel excluding changes report. So it's the same thing without all the changes, okay? So it is purely going to show you the sales by that channel excluding any additions or changes to that specific reservation or invoice. So for those of you that work with marketing companies, or for those that you are trying to align your PMS sales figures to your Google Analytics sales figures as an example, this is the appropriate report to run, the sales by channel excluding changes, because it's only going to show me the sales that I made less any changes. So you'll notice for the same time period, I've got a different figure here. The other one was like $4,010 or whatever it was, and this one's a little bit different. So this isn't showing any of those changes. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Let's see, moving on here. I got a question here. It says, when are we going to see custom reports? Yeah, so great question. So it's a loaded question. Let me tell you why. Reporting is very complex, as I've specifically come to learn, and RezStream as a company has come to learn. The reporting has to tie into your converted data from RezStream Professional, so the historical data. It has to tie into your current, existing, and future data. And depending upon how much history, how many reservations, invoices, etc., that reporting database is a gargantuan project. Okay, that's a short way for me to explain it in layman's terms. The specific answer to your question is we have it slated on our roadmap during the summer here to basically overhaul our entire reporting structure. which will include speeding it up, which will include looking into adding the custom reports. It will also include looking into third-party tools that help with the ability to create custom reports as well as display the reports, not only in a comparison-like display, but also a very graphical interface. So our roadmap is slated for this summer. That's when we're looking to overhaul the reporting system and make it enhanced in various different ways that I just mentioned. So very good question. Okay, let me show you this next report here. And this report, I think some of you know about, some of you don't, but this is typically one of the best reports that clients share within the system, and it's our revenue by unit report. So this revenue by unit report is advantageous for all of you, and the reason why is because it's showing you a bunch of different things. So not only is it showing you total revenue for a specific time frame, but it's showing you the revenue specific to a unit for that time frame. So for those of you that are adjusting rates, for those of you that are trying to take advantage of your most widely used units and trying to beef up or adjust pricing for those units that are less utilized, this is a good report for that. This report will show you how many nights those specific units were available versus out of service and how many nights were actually booked. So available 34 nights during this window and booked 16 of those nights, and then from there that's how you're getting your occupancy percentage. So not only is this report showing you the revenue broken down by individual unit, but we've got our occupancy percentage total and by unit. We also have our average daily rate, our revenue per available room, any fees and taxes on this report. So I think this report is very powerful. It gives you a lot of insight and information for you guys, not only to compare against historical data, but also for you guys to make sure that you're tracking the appropriate metrics for your business. And then notice it has a settings feature, and I can come up here and I can either choose to consider out of service available or not. But more importantly, something that I've heard and I'm looking for feedback on, which is my next poll question, is do you guys want the ability to customize to remove specific units from this report? And the reason for that being is you'll notice here on my example, I've got a couple meeting rooms that show up on here, or if you guys are using the occupancy map and create a unit for your own personal calendar to keep track of hair appointments and doctor's appointments, it's also showing up on this report and skewing your occupancy percentage. So the question here in this poll is do you want the ability to remove units of your choice and go down and say remove my meeting rooms, remove this room because it had damage or yada yada, so that you get a more accurate figure. So I'll give you guys about 10 more seconds here to give me your thoughts there. I would appreciate it. Your feedback is crucial to us enhancing our product. As you know, you use this each and every day. We do not, so we rely on your feedback to make this product the best that it can possibly be. Okay, so I'm going to close this down, and then I'm going to share these results. So 79% of you said yes, please. Again, for the love of God, give me that ability. I want to be able to remove what it is I want to remove so I can get accurate data, whether it be for myself, my manager, my boss, my accountant, my bank, whatever it is. None of you said no, and 21% of you said it's not really important, it doesn't matter to me. So again, I look at that as 100% of you saying yes, please give me that access. So that's good feedback. Okay. Let's see here. What else do I want to show you? A couple more things, guys, and then I'll wrap it up because we're pushing 46 minutes here. So some reports that we've added recently that we announced. Hopefully you guys saw. Some of you didn't based on my conversations, but we now have the ability to track gift certificates through a couple different reports. So the first one is a sales report. So gift certificates that I've sold during a specific time frame, it's going to show me those gift certificates, and it's going to show me where it came from, booking engine or offline. And then if I expand that selection, I can then jump into that specific gift certificate if need be. So my gift certificate sales, so what have I sold? Then what's the next logic one? Redemptions, right? So if we come back here under payments, you're going to see gift certificate redemptions. You select your time frame and see which gift certificates have actually been redeemed. A lot of you are utilizing this gift certificate page and you're going through and adding things up. Well, you guys don't have to do that anymore because now we have both the gift certificate sales report as well as we have the gift certificate, redemption report. So if you guys weren't aware, now you are aware. Please stop doing manual efforts. Please start utilizing the reports. Make your lives a lot easier, okay? Now, something else I want to talk to you guys about, which not everyone knows about. So apparently either we've not communicated it well enough or we're all not paying attention because we're busy. But in the upper right-hand corner, you see this little bell notification, okay? And if you click on this bell notification, this is where we're sharing with you guys all the stuff that we're releasing. So if it's a big thing and it's something that impacts everyone, then we announce it under a new feature, okay? So some examples in the past: sales by channel, moving reservations, our booking.com connection, channel manager connection. We darkened grid lines, created the notes on the occupancy map, season wizard, et cetera, et cetera. And then if you actually go to the cloud updates, you can come in and you can see the specific details or release notes, if you will. So not only is this going to cover everything, guys, this is going to cover all the features, all the usability enhancements, and any bugs that we ran into, that we found, or that were reported by customers that we have fixed within the program. This is standard type of announcements that you'll see within software programs, guys. So it's our way of trying to communicate with you without having to call 200 people one by one and have schedules align and tell you what it is that we've been working on. So I think what's pretty exciting to me is, you know, you see the consistency within the updates, whereas for those of you that had migrated over from RezStream Professional, you saw over time as that product matured, the releases, the software updates slowed down, but here you see the accountability and the 100% focus on this product. So 6 months ago, 5, 4, 3 months, 2 months, 2 months, 1 month, 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago. So the dev team is working tirelessly to basically make this product as good as it can be. Something that I'm super stoked about is we added an additional programmer to the team, Nick, and you know, just adding more resources to be able to get things done quicker, more efficiently, with better usability is our commitment to you guys. So hopefully you guys see that. But anyways, the point that I'm making here is go in here and look at these things and read these articles, because it'll talk about what it is that we've come out with, and we'll link to videos or knowledge-based articles of step-by-step instructions of how to take advantage of these features. So in addition to this once-a-month webinar, where I'm going to try and walk you through some of these things that you make time for, don't feel like you got to wait for once a month to go exploring. You know, take advantage of the program. It's built to increase your efficiency and save you time. It's built to make you more money. It's built to reduce costs in various different ways. So don't hesitate there, guys, okay? Now, something that I think is really exciting, okay? So I don't know if you guys were happen to see this in the background, but I put this up here for today's purposes. So if you've got ideas, you got stuff that you want or need, or you don't like the way something works, I want to hear about it. Email me, call me, go to our community, our user voice community, and post ideas there. We want to make this product better, so let us hear about it, okay? Here's direct access to me. Please use me. The next webinar, guys, along these lines is going to be on April 4th at 1 Eastern, so it'll be once a month, typically the first Tuesday at 1 Eastern time. Now, after this webinar, you're going to get an automatic email that fires off to you asking you for some feedback. So don't just rely on me to come up with things to talk about. I want to hear what it is that you want to learn about. Do you need more in-depth feedback on reports? Do you want to talk about payments? Do you want to talk about channel manager? Do we need to talk about the booking engine and best practices? You guys tell me what it is that you want to hear as it relates to this product to make sure that you're using it efficiently as well as to its full functionality, okay? And then the last thing here that I want to talk about, which I'm stoked about, and I put up here, stay until the end for a sneak peek, and I promise you'll love it. I know you're going to love it because you all been asking for it for a while here. Here's what I want to show you, okay? We all know that changing rates is frustrating. If you want to go and change the rate this Friday and Saturday, you got to go into the back end of the program, and you got to go into the rate, you got to go into the rate plan, you got to go into the season, and you got to start a season Friday and run it through Saturday and end it on Sunday before it goes back to your normal rates. And the whole reason why you want to adjust the damn rate is because you need to get some heads and beds, right? Well, it's convoluted, and it's for a lack of a better term, it sucks, okay? So we've been working tirelessly on this, and this is a sneak peek. This is not a finalized product, so what you see today may change, but nonetheless, this is some freaking exciting stuff, excuse my language. So what's going to happen in the future here, once we release this into production after it's been thoroughly vetted and tested, is you see an extra icon here, and we're calling this a quick rate editor, okay? So this is going to be the ability for you to adjust a rate on the fly regardless of the unit or the rate plan, and you can adjust it on the fly without having to go into the back-end configuration section and diving down into the rate plans and seasons like I just referenced as an example, okay? So if I click on this button, it's now going to display all of my various different rate plans on the left-hand side, okay? So these are all my various different rates. Now, you're seeing some percentages here, okay? Well, this first row up here is all, and the percentage that you're seeing is my occupancy on these particular dates. So my occupancy here is 6%, this is 12%, this is 18%, right? So you're seeing that as it goes down. Within each individual cell, you see the actual rate for that specific time frame, right? And then you see all your different rates. So my rack boat rate, my rack empty rate, my new rate for my honeymoon suite, my bookable rate for my king, and here's all the various different rates I have for my queens. The other thing that you're going to see here is anything in red is your minimum night stays. Those things are stuff that you've already configured for your rates. The other thing that you're going to see here is this little plus number or minus number in certain cases, and that's to let you know that those specific rates are being yielded with the yield management tool. Now, as my example indicated, if I want to adjust a rate for Friday and Saturday, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click on those specific dates. Or I can even click and drag if it's a longer time frame, okay? I can click individually all over this thing. So if I want to change this rate in this unit, and this rate in this unit, and this rate in this unit, and I want to change it globally, I can do so, okay? Now, once you've selected a specific rate in day or dates, you're going to get this dialog box that pops up here on the right-hand side. And you're going to be able to adjust that rate either by a percentage, a fixed value, or set it to a fixed price. So let me just get out of this, and I'm going to do this as an example. I want to adjust these rates from 99 and 100, and I want to set it to a fixed rate of $80 because I'm running a flash sale, and I'm going to save that. And now what's happening is that rate is being adjusted, and I'm in a test environment here, so it's a little bit slow, so please bear with me here and ignore that. And if it throws an error here, hang tight because we're going through testing. But it's going to adjust that rate. Uh-oh, and it looks like they're pushing some updates to it too. So this is all on the fly. I didn't plan for this, so bear with me here, guys. But basically, it's going to adjust that rate not only in your reservation software, but it's going to adjust that rate up to your booking engine, and it's going to adjust that rate out to your OTA channels right there on the fly. I'm not logging into my allocator. I'm not logging into Booking.com, Expedia, blah, blah, blah. I just adjusted those rates on the fly in a matter of seconds. Hallelujah, right? I'm assuming you're all standing up and you're giving a standing ovation, even though I can't see you right now. But this is awesome. So let me go a little bit deeper here. Let me take those same rates as an example and look at my other options here. On the fly, I can adjust my minimum night stay. So I either take what's there and adjust it even more. So if I add a 2 to it, it's going to take the 2 I'm adjusting it by and the 2 that already exist and make it 4. Or I can just set it to whatever it is that I want, right? If I want to adjust extra persons here, I can. My adults, my children's, I can adjust those things. If I want to adjust the base capacity for that specific unit, and it's no longer my rate includes 2 people, my rate now includes 1 person, and I'm going to charge for each second person that comes in, I now have the ability, without going into the back-end configuration of the program, and I can adjust rates until my heart is content. So to me, that's something that's been asked for a while. It's the single highest voted on thing in our user community, so we've been working tirelessly on this feature. We're going through and testing it to make sure that it works as it's intended to, and there are no issues with it. So bear with us here. That's coming shortly. Anytime you adjust rates, guys, it impacts a whole bunch of things. It impacts the reservations, the invoices, the reports, the booking engines, the OTAs, et cetera, et cetera. So anytime you adjust rates, it's a major undertaking. So we've been working on this for a while for you guys. So I'm hoping that you guys find this to be exciting. I'm hoping that this helps you guys be able to operate your business more efficiently, which is the goal behind the reservation software. Historically, changing rates has been a big fat pain in the ass, for a lack of a better term, excuse my language, but it's true, and I think it deserves that description. So real shortly here, we'll release this out. We'll let you guys know when that release comes out up here, and that's how we'll kind of handle it. Okay, last thing before we go. Last poll, and let me push this thing out here. And basically, I had a client, Jim, had spoken to me, and he had said, hey, it would be really cool if you guys did user groups. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, I sure would like to talk to some of your other customers and find out how they're using the program, what they like, what they don't like, what they're taking advantage of, what they're missing out on. So the idea came up, and I want to put it out there to other people. So the question here is would you guys be interested in participating in user groups where you could talk to other customers and find out how they're utilizing the program, so that way you guys can ebb and flow off each other, share experiences, examples. I'm not really sure specifically how it would work if you know, we would give you access to the tools and you guys would pick a day and time and log in and go to town. I don't know if you guys would need a moderator for that, so it wasn't, you know, 30 people talking all at the same time and had some type of structure to it. But nonetheless, I'm curious to get your guys' feedback, so I'll give you about 10, 15 more seconds here. And I'm curious to know if that's something that you're interested in, and if it is something you're interested in, then we'll figure it out. We want to make sure that you guys have all the tools necessary to adopt the product to its fullest potential for your personal benefit. Okay, 10 more seconds here, guys. Okay, I'm going to close it down, and I'm going to share it. So it's about half and half. So half of you said, yes, I'm absolutely interested, and the other half, well, excuse me, 7% said no, and 43% said you're not sure. So maybe you're not sure because of timing, you need more details around it, days, time structures, what is expected of you, not expected of you. So to me, I look at that as a positive thing. So maybe if you have ideas, reach out to me, or if you want me to run with it on my own, I certainly can. But obviously, I want you guys to have whatever it is that you need. Okay. So a couple of questions here. Let me get through these things. If you guys want to hang on, if you guys have other things to do, by all means you can take off. And as usual, we record all of our webinars and post them online. Okay, so a question here is, With yield management, will RezStream push the revised rate up to the OTAs? So let me be specific, okay? So yield management is a feature that we currently offer within our reservation software. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, yield management is a way to set a rule that then automatically adjusts your rate based on that rule taking place, okay? This is widely utilized by the chain hotels and the airline industry, as an example, because they never want to leave money on the table and they never want to be left with empty rooms or no one filling their airline seats for a flight. So what they do is, based on supply and demand, they're yielding or adjusting that rate, okay? So let me give you some examples. If you're at 80% occupied in your busy season and you do not adjust your rate higher because the inventory is getting lower, the supply, and the demand is high for that specific time frame, you are leaving money on the table, right? And vice versa, in your shoulder seasons or off seasons, if you have the same rate and no one's coming and staying and booking, your rate is probably too high. So in order to cover operational costs, it's advised that you lower your rates. Well, within the program, we have yield management where you can come in here and you can add a rule and you can say, when the date is between X days and X nights out from a specific time frame and the occupancy is between X and Y, I want you to adjust the rate to either this amount or this percent. So as an example here, when something is between 1 and 7 days in advance, if my occupancy is between 65 and 99%, I want to raise the rates by 20%. And vice versa, 1 to 7 days in advance, if my occupancy is 49 to 20%, I want to lower my rate by 10%, right? So as an example, if my flat rate is 100, I'm going to raise it to 120 when supply is low and demand is high, and vice versa. If my rate is 100, I want to lower it by 10% or to $90, okay? So back to the original question, are we going to allow the yield management adjustments to populate to the OTAs? Currently, we do not do that, okay? And the reason why is because of limitations on the OTA side. So basically, the way the OTA works is they're pulling the rates depending upon the website ever so frequently. So your bigger OTAs, Booking.com, Expedia, Travelocity, they're queuing for rates pretty consistently, pretty regularly. For those availability websites like Airbnb or VRBO, HomeAway, those types of guys, they have limitations to how frequently they're requesting the rates, okay? So as an example, if you have a whole bunch of yield management rules and you have 50 units out there, then basically you could be yielding rates nonstop throughout the day based on bookings or lack thereof, and that's constantly changing your rates, which we instantaneously update our own booking engine because we control it. But now because we're going through third parties, whether it's my allocator or the OTA themselves, they're having to queue and ping constantly for these rate adjustments. So as an example, if you've got 50 rooms and you've got 10 yield management rules and within a single hour your rate adjusted 20 different times, how is the OTA supposed to guarantee that they're going to give accurate pricing? Well, they can't really do that today. So what we've realized is there are limitations, and some of our competition is basically having to shut down those features because the OTAs aren't able to support it. So the answer to your question is we've tried, and we've been in essence shut down. We'll continue to look at it with some of these maybe more popular websites, but I know that all of these OTAs or VRBOs and Airbnbs aren't going to be able to support it. So hang tight with that. Some of those have some workarounds as it relates to being able to handle those types of things, but others do not. So unfortunately, it's not a widely needed or requested feature at this point, so it's not something that's at the top of our priority list where, as an example, adjusting rates on the fly is certainly high. So there's that. Another question I had here, guys, is can you go through the Season Wizard In sake of time today, I won't do that today, but I'll add that to the list for the next one next month in April. So if you guys heard about the Season Wizard, the Copy Season Wizard, and it's something you're interested in learning more about, that's something I'll go through next month. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming today. Do me a favor, fill out the survey that you're going to get at the end of this and let me know what it is that you want to learn about. And then those of you that basically said you're interested in the user group, go ahead and do me a favor and shoot me an email or give me a call, please, if you would here, and let me know that you're interested. And for those of you that are interested, I'll set something up. We'll come up with something so that you guys can take advantage of each other's feedback. So again, thank you very much. Appreciate your attendance today. Hopefully you've taken some positive things away. If you didn't, I need that feedback for next time so that I can make sure that you do in the future. So hopefully we see you all in a month, April 4th. You'll get an email to go ahead and sign up, or you're automatically already signed up if I'm not mistaken. So I appreciate your guys' attendance, and if there's anything I can do to ever help, no question's a dumb question. We're here to help out, guys, so reach out. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.